In this video, we want to have a look at some of the options for graining and grain matching that are available inside of Microvellum. So if we go to our toolbox setup, project setup, and have a look at the graining options under job setup variables, we have some different graining settings here. So we have some grain direction options, and you can see these are in red because they're actually driven from the wizard, but we have options for drawer front grain direction, door grain direction, side grain direction, and back grain direction. So drawer and door are fairly self-explanatory, running with the width of the cabinet or the height of the cabinet. So in this case, the grain direction is going to be running with the width of the cabinet, and the side grain direction is going to affect any actual integral cabinet sides, so finished ends, open finish interiors, those sorts of things that might have grain direction, as well as any applied finished end panels, so left or right applied finished end. And then the back grain direction is going to affect the back of the cabinet, so whether that's the integral back, an applied back panel, or a finished thick back, and that's going to be affected by this back grain direction. Then for our perfect graining, we have some new options that use the perfect grain features that are available in the program. And so we have our standard perfect grain, and so that's just going to grain match within a single cabinet, all the parts vertical or horizontal, depending on the settings up here. Then we have options here for split drawers from doors. So if we have something where we don't want to have the drawers matching with the doors and we just want to match the two doors below the drawer front, then we can say split drawers from doors. If we want to have double width cabinets, so if we have something like a two drawer cabinet and we only want to match the grain between the door and the drawer on the left and separately the grain on the door and the drawer on the right, then we can use the split double width cabinets. This option, allow grain matching across multiple products, will allow us to select the grain matching and do that across a run of cabinets, so blueprint matching. Obviously that means that your materials need to be set up accordingly, and so if you're doing blueprint match on a large scale where you're going to need to bring in materials and have them custom laid up in order to make those, you're going to want to make sheet sizes that are larger than your largest run of elevation. So maybe you're doing a 32-foot elevation of a blueprint match. You're going to want to make a sheet that is 32 feet wide and then use that to calculate your grain layups for custom veneering in order to accommodate that. We have the option here to show perfect grain on elevation if we wanted to. This is more for just testing and to make sure that our grain is showing the way that we need it to be. But if we want to see the ID of each of those parts show up on the elevation drawing on a particular layer, then we could turn that on and that would show us in the elevation drawings. So now inside the cabinet itself, we have those options for overrides, and then in fact in the carcass subassembly as well, we can override those things to specify what our side, our back, and our door grain direction options are. And then we have this number called the grain matching identifier. And so right now, the grain matching identifier is just the item number for the cabinet. And so if we entered something other than that, we could use that on multiple products, and then it would include all of whatever has that same grain matching identifier within the elevation. And so one of the ways that we can use this is set it up with certain series of item numbers on our products, and those will automatically create matching elevations. And so I'll show you how that's set up and how we can use that. So if we go into our product here, we can look at the grain matching identifier, and if we look at the formula, it says if we're using global grain matching across multiple products. So if we turned on that global and the value of the item number is greater than 100, so if our item number is greater than 100, then it's going to use the left portion of that item number. So if we say our series is 100 dot 37, 38, 39, then all of the 100 cabinets are going to be in that elevation. So if we're using matching elevations and we want to be able to do that easily, we can specify 100 as the start of our item numbers, and then the next elevation match we would specify as 101. So I've gone ahead and renumbered these two sets of cabinets, and so if I go to my prompts on this product now on the product materials tab, we can see the grain matching identifier for this series is 100, and if we go to the series on this one and go to our grain matching identifier, the series is 101. So I just wanted to illustrate the grain matching identifier drawing on the elevations. And so here we can see I've turned on my grain matching across elevations, but you can see that there is an L and an R added to each of these. And the reason for that is that I have my split double width cabinets turned on, and so that's what it's doing. It's putting an L and an R on the end of each of my double width cabinets. So here, for example, I have this cabinet that was not part of the matching elevation, and it's come out with an L and an R, and that's what I would want. But in this case, those two items don't work in combination with each other. Here we can see these single door cabinets all just have a standard one, just meaning that they have grain. If there was any additional doors, it would just calculate that on its own. But in this case, these are all special overrides based on the globals that I've set, and so I need to turn off that split elevations in order to make this work. So here in my graining settings, I'm just going to turn off the split double width cabinets. And so now you can see I've turned off that split elevations, and so when I go and process that, now these are going to be grouped as one group of fronts. This is going to be grouped as a separate group of fronts, and these items that don't have the pound sign in front of them, they are just going to group within that individual cabinet. That's our standard graining operation, so if it just has a 1 without the pound sign, then it's just going to group those two fronts together as one elevation, and then the other ones will group if they have anything else to group with within the cabinet. So I'll just go ahead and create a work order from these items, and we can see what that looks like in the nest. And so here we can see the grain matching when it happens in the nest. So item 1, 2, 3 across for the uppers, and 1, 2, 3 across for the base cabinets. And so the machining face for these doors is on the back face, and so that's why they're traveling from right to left when you look at the matching elevation, but that looks the way it should be. And so then we have our grain matching that was just within that one cabinet, and then we have just the single door on there as well.